Hey everybody, it is Trags Mike Petralia back with the latest installment of the Jungle Roar Bengals postgame pod following a Week 5 37-24 loss to the Detroit Lions. I'm joined, as always, by Richard Skinner of Local 12 and Local12.com. This episode of the Jungle Roar Bengals postgame pod is brought to you, as always, by our good friends at Prize Picks and All Good Home Improvement. Skinny, I will give props to Zac Taylor and Jake Browning for this much. They had total and complete ownership of what went wrong in this game. A game the Bengals trailed at one point by the final score Monday night, 28-3 in this game in the third quarter. Yes, they rebounded. Jake Browning did throw 3 fourth-quarter touchdowns, but that really was window dressing on what was another discouraging performance for the offense. After the game, Zac Taylor taking blame, saying he needs to do a better job play calling and not putting the offense in a position to fail. And Jake Browning saying flat, you can't throw 3 picks. You cannot make the bad decisions that I made as a quarterback on the field and hope to give your team any chance to win. I will start with that, Skinny, in terms of a place where maybe there is hope going forward.
Yeah, I mean, the fourth quarter, I get it. It's, human nature is the letdown period of the game, right? Like, you can have a letdown, and the Lions probably did, and they had some backups in the game and all those things, but you got to hang your hat on something. And that fourth quarter at least allows you to hang your hat on something. What that something is, I don't know. Maybe it's the fact of, you know what, let's just sling this thing around. Jay's going to make mistakes. I'm off to let him make mistakes. He's going to make mistakes, even if I'm trying to be conservative. That's kind of my takeaway. Again, that first half, from a play calling schematic standpoint, felt very much like the last 2 weeks of don't make a mistake, don't throw something down the field. We don't trust our offensive line. We don't trust Jake. Hey, listen, Jake was bad. I mean, the throw to Jamar Chase on the out route was way underthrown. The one on the deep ball to Jamar Chase, the jump ball, was way underthrown. He throws one right to Alex Anzalone, the linebacker. That was a terrible throw. But I think you saw in the fourth quarter when it was almost like, Jake, just cut it loose and let's see what the heck happens, and what happens. I think you can hang your hat on that. I think they truly believe, Mike, that they could go back to the 2023 landscape and say, you know what, we can run the ball and we'll put Jake under center and we'll do bootlegs and play actions. We'll be conservative, but we'll let him, do some of that stuff, and it's going to work. Hasn't worked. I mean, I think you've gone back to just saying, you know what, we're going to put him in the Joe Burrow shotgun offense and see what the heck happens. And maybe that's what you come out of this going, looking, here's what I can hang my hat on. He did make some good plays. Yeah, I get Detroit was vanilla. They were prevent. They were playing against the clock. They had a I give you all that, fans. I do. But it gave you something to go, we made some plays in that fourth quarter.
Jake Browning cannot be the leading rusher on a team that
No.
has Chase Brown and Samaje Perine. Let me read the stats. Jake Browning, 4 carries, 31 yards. Hey, a great yards per carry of 7.8. Samaje Perine, 4 carries, 27 yards. Again, 6.8. But your feature back, Chase Brown, touched the ball just 8 times from scrimmage for 27 yards, 3.4 yards, which is half a yard better than he has been doing. And Chase Brown was big in the receiving game. I should point that out. 7 catches on 8 targets, but Skinny only 21 yards.
Yeah, I don't think this is a Chase Brown issue. I think you'd agree with me on that, right? I don't think it's Chase. This offensive line just doesn't run block well. I will tell you, in that fourth quarter, other than the flea flicker play with an Aiden Hutchinson blew up, right? I thought the offensive line actually protected pretty darn well. Not perfect. It's never perfect, especially when you drop back, 40 times. That's never going to be perfect. But I thought they held up pretty well. And maybe you just go, you know what? This is what we are. We're a bunch of pass blockers. We can't run block. I don't know. Maybe you do something schematically with the offensive line coach situation. I don't know what you do there. I mean, maybe you push him to just do more from a pass block perspective. I will go back to this, Mike. There was a part of me before the season started with Joe Burrow, that thought this team could be 2-3 at this spot. Not 2-3 ugly like it's been, but I thought, I mean, you could have gone and lost at Cleveland. Jacksonville was a toss-up game on paper, in my opinion, even though it was at home, and that kind of got you the win. The 2 road games were at best. If you thought those were swing games, that was at best. This game today against arguably the best offense in the NFL was at best at home a swing game. So you could have been 2-3. I think the ugliness of it, Mike, I thought it at 28-3. The only thing that kept going through my mind is this is as bad as I've ever watched, and it's not going to get any better.
I was ready to tweet that. I was literally, Skinny, ready to tweet, this offense has never looked worse. I've never seen it look that bad. And that this is a backup quarterback again, went 4-3 as a starter in 2023. I get it. It's a different team than it was back then, and probably a better defense a couple of years ago, even though it was starting to trend in the wrong direction. But I'm getting a little weary or a little tired of the comparisons with 2023 because this team isn't that team.
No, it's not. And again, I go back to the offense. I do think that's what they decided to go back to lean on, though. Of listen, here's what Jake did well. Let's get 2 tight ends. Let's go under center. Let's run the football. Let's bootleg. Let's play action. Let's get our tight ends involved. And then you realize, crap, we can't run block a lick. No. And I think maybe once the game got out of hand today, it was almost like the handcuffs are off. The game's over. Let's just sling this thing around and see what the heck happens. And I thought at that point, the offensive line, again, other than the flea flicker play where Aiden Hutchinson just beat the brakes off of Orlando Brown, and it's obviously a slow developing play because you're handing it off, pitching it back. I thought they held up pretty well. Maybe that's something you can have. Listen, I'm not looking for silver. I know everybody's at pitchforks and knives and we're trying to go witch burn at the moment. I get that. I fully do, fans. I understand it. But if you're a fan, you're still going to come back next week with hope. And maybe that fourth quarter gave everybody some hope and gave the players the belief that, hey, okay, we stunk it up for a chunk, but we know how to score touchdowns because we just showed we could do it. That's all we needed to see. It's like a golf, right? See a putt go in.
Yes.
See a putt go in. That's all I need to see a putt go in, and the thing looks big to me.
And it's interesting you say that because I asked Zac Taylor after the game if he left Jake Browning in the game because he knows he's going to need Jake Browning going forward.
Sure.
Let's face it. If Brett Rippon wasn't going to get in that game
Correct.
with 3 interceptions early in the third quarter, down 28-3, he's not going to get in, barring injury,
you're right.
Of course.
You're right.
And you've got Sean Clifford and you got Mike White on the practice squad. Maybe one of those two, probably Mike White, replaces Brett Rippon as the backup to Jake on game day. Maybe that happens. But Jake Browning is the guy. And I have seen no indication from the Bengals in years past, from the Brown-Blackburn family, that they are going to go out and make a trade for a quarterback and give up the trade assets that you would need to go out and acquire a Jameis Winston, a Russell Wilson. I don't think Kirk Cousins, that's a pipe dream because his contract's terrible. Right. Exactly. So that's not going to happen. So you look at all those scenarios, and what does it leave you with? Jake's our guy, and Zac Taylor said it after the game. And yes, when I asked that question, he said, yeah, it does mean something going forward. Charlie Goldsmith asked of Fox19.com. He asked whether or not, Jake is playing for his job, and Zac said, I understand the question, he asked the question of Jake Browning.
Yep.
And Jake said that that's a question for Zac Taylor to answer going forward. Zac said, look, we're going to evaluate every position as we normally would after a game like this. But do I believe in Jake Browning? Yes. So what he's saying is Jake Browning's going to be the quarterback in Green Bay next Sunday.
And it's the right move. I mean, even if you made a trade at this point, are you really bringing somebody in on a Monday and saying you're going to get ready for a Sunday road game?
I mean,
even if it's Russell Wilson or Jameis Winston, 2 guys who've played in this league and both suck, to be quite honest with you. So I get it. The quarterback always gets the attention. And I don't want to soft shoe this. I've been a Jake Browning guy. He was awful. I mean, the first half of this game, he was horrifyingly bad. I mean, the throw to Jamar Chase was an elementary school out route where he threw it so short of him that it fell right in the lap of the Detroit Lions cornerback. It was just a terrible throw. But maybe Zac, again, to his credit, good for you for falling on the sword. But I don't think he's wrong. I think schematically and play calling wise, in the first half of the last 3 games, they've been awful. should be. He's been awful. He's put him in bad spots, bad positions. And so good for you for owning up for it. That's all well and good. Guess what, Mike? Then go fix it.
And I'm sure they are going to be burning the midnight oil because the season is not lost. Baltimore got
It's not.
absolutely boat raced today. Cleveland lost again.
You play Pittsburgh 2 more times.
You
have
play
2
Pittsburgh
chances.
twice, you play Baltimore twice,
Right.
and you've got Cleveland one more time. This season is by no means over. It feels bad. We were all tweeting. I was tweeting it during the game, and I'll be the first to admit this was atrocious. This looked like a semi-pro team, a semi-pro offense.
You said that in the press box kind of softly, and you and I sit about 6 to 8 seats apart, and I busted out laughing, and everybody around us did because it was a funny line.
Funny but sad at the same. Look, Bengal fans, when they hear that, they're like, they laugh, but they see what they saw on Sunday, and they're frustrated. And obviously, everybody understands the fan frustration. Zac Taylor acknowledged he heard it on the sideline. Jake Browning certainly understood where the fans were coming from, and I say good for Zac Taylor and Jake Browning owning up for it, and we'll see where it gets them going forward. Talking with Richard Skinner of Local12.com on this episode of the Jungle Roar Bengals postgame podcast, which is brought to you by our fine folks at All Good Home Improvement. All Good has been helping homeowners for 32 years. When looking for a home improvement company, the number one quality they are looking for is trust. For the last 32 years, All Good has been trusted to help homeowners replace their windows, install new vinyl siding, install new gutters, and professionally install a new roof. Also, this is a great time of year to start thinking about getting your home ready for winter with energy-efficient windows, a roof inspection, or even a gutter inspection. They would be glad to come out to your home and do a free inspection to see if your home is indeed ready for the winter months. And All Good offers interest-free financing with payments starting at $99 a month and no money down. And now, starting here in October, they're offering this special for Jungle Roar podcast listeners and viewers. If you need 10 windows, you'll get 5 of them for free and an additional $500 off on the purchase by mentioning you heard it here on the Jungle Roar Bengals postgame pod. Maybe you need 20 windows. You'll get 10 free and that additional $500 off by mentioning you heard it here on the Jungle Roar pod. All during All Good's buy one, get one free offer. So call my friend Ed over at All Good for your free home inspection, 513-247-2900. Or as always, you can visit their website, myallgoodhome.com. Back with Richard Skinner of Local 12 and Local12.com. Skinny, the defense.
Hang on, I would ask you one question.
Yes, please do.
Back to what we were just talking about before the read.
Yes.
If Jake Browning hadn't done what he had done in the fourth quarter, where would he be at quarterback?
Where would he be?
Where would we be at? Where would the team be at quarterback?
I think the same place we would be if he hadn't done that.
Okay, yeah.
They don't have any answers.
No, I think that's the right answer. I was just curious what you thought. If the fourth quarter hadn't happened to where you at least go, okay, he still is competent enough. Okay.
Here's what I think would have happened. Had he thrown one more interception without putting those touchdowns on the board in the fourth quarter, then I think Brett Rippon comes into the game. And then if Brett Rippon absolutely knocks their socks off and they look like an entirely different offense, then you have the conversation. I think it's a good conversation to have. But other than that, no, I think it's Jake Browning going forward.
I think that's right.
Defense overall, how do you think they played? I thought they gave this team a chance to win. I really only had 14 to 17 points on their backs for this game out of the 37 that were scored.
I do to some degree. I mean, because they force a fumble. Although if they don't force the fumble on that drive, that's probably 14-0 at that point. I mean, the first drive looked too easy. I mean, it just looked like, my gosh, here we go. It's way too easy. The one drive that really disappointed me was you got it to 28-17 with 10 minutes plus to go in the game.
Yep.
And you kick off. And your defense had actually been playing pretty decent at that point. They had forced a punt the previous series, actually a 3-and-out the previous series. They go 8 plays, 68 yards, touchdown, 35-17, night. Listen, if you're going to play complimentary football, that's the time to play complimentary football. Like, you got back in the game. I mean, it still was going to be a big ass to finish off a 25-point comeback.
Sure.
But you cut it to 11 with a ton of time, NFL-wise. 10 minutes left to go. And they just went through you like Swiss cheese. That's this defense in a nutshell. It's the personnel is just terrible on that side of football. It's embarrassingly bad. Again, it's weird. Mike, they have some, like, the last 3 games, they've given up a ton of points. Some of it inflicted by the offense, a couple scoop and scores. That's not on them. But they had like they'll go like 2 or 3 series in a row where you're like 3 and out, 5 and out, punt. Pretty good. But they can't sustain it for whatever reason.
Yeah, and I will tell you the one player that I think needs to come under more and more scrutiny. He's been under scrutiny all season long.
Yep.
Is Logan Wilson.
I know it.
Again, on that first drive, it was not good. He was missing tackles. He was out of position, shooting the wrong gaps. It was not good.
I think the athleticism for him just isn't there where it was. I mean, we all like Logan. I love Logan. Logan's a great kid. I like Logan a lot. He's a accountable kid. He's all the things you want. He looks like the All-American boy. I know he's a film studier. He's all the things you want. He was once a good player. He's not anymore. Guess what? That's the NFL. You were once a good player. You're not anymore. And sometimes, boy, it comes like that. I think it's come like that for Logan, unfortunately.
And I think it came for that like that for Sam Hubbard. And I think Sam Hubbard said, "Look,
Jermaine Pratt came like that for Jermaine Pratt, who got left home by the Raiders because they don't think he's good enough."
Oh, and in a game that they lost 40-6 today at Indianapolis. What does that tell you?
That he's not good enough. And I think that's where Logan is, unfortunately. I think their issue is, I don't think Oren Burks is anything more than a rotational package player. That's not a knock. He's carved out a nice niche for himself in the league. I think they're trending to having to play 2 rookie linebackers together.
Well,
and that's a hard ass. You're playing 2 rookie guards and 2 rookie linebackers. That feels like we're an expansion team at some point.
There's no question about that. And there's no way I see, given what you just mentioned and the lack of veteran experience in the linebacking group, that Al Golden, defensive coordinator, can go with a base much longer, can he? 4 down linemen, 3 linebackers.
So Mike, when Zach said today we're going to look at all the personnel, my mind flashed to, okay, what are we looking at on offense? You looking at a different offensive tackle? No, probably not. I mean, I think Orlando Brown, unfortunately, is washed up. But I'm not going to go with Cody Ford there. I started thinking more on the defensive side of the ball, like can't play Cam Taylor-Britt anymore. Can't play Logan Wilson anymore. Can't play, honestly, you can't play Geno Stone or Jordan Battle anymore, but you have to because you got nothing else behind them. You can't play some guys anymore. I mean, maybe rotational stuff, but you can't play them a lot of snaps.
Goal line defense, and you can break this down any way you want. I looked down on this. This is the first Detroit drive of the game, and on the sideline, you had T.J. Slayton, you had Cam Taylor-Britt.
I didn't even notice this.
Yes, and they weren't on the field in the low red zone defense. And I'm like, okay, I get the personnel and the matchups that you want. Low red zone defense is different than standard defense.
Right.
I get that. But those are base, fundamental, core players is the word I want to use.
Should be.
You're paying them like that. And you expected going into the season they would be. And at some point, I hesitate to say this, but at some point, I think it crosses Zac Taylor's mind. Okay, this is the roster I got. This is the roster I'm going to play. And at some point, somebody needs to pay attention and go, these guys aren't good or not good enough.
Right. I mean, that's the thing. I get everybody wants them to address the offensive line and to pay their guys and to get another edge rusher and all of those things. I get all that. And you can't do all that in free agency. Not when you're paying the quarterback and the 2 wide receivers and the left tackle and the main edge rusher and Trey Hendrickson, who, by the way, I thought was really good today. I mean, I thought Trey really brought it today, and good for him. Yep. At some point, you have to. Not you want to or you hope to or, boy, we would like to. You have to hit on the draft. And listen, I get right now the pitchforks are out for Zac Taylor. and they're out for Jake Browning. I get all that. But where is the disdain for the personnel department who have messed up draft after draft after draft after draft?
I think this is the season where it starts. The bill is coming due for the personnel department because you're starting to see the impact of having third round picks not on the field. Now today, McKinley Jackson,
Yay!
he was active for the first time this year. McKinley Jackson was active in a game that the Bengals allowed 37 points, but he was active. That was the first time this year that the 2024 third round pick was on the field. And another thing that we have not mentioned, and he probably returns next week. We'll see what happens. Shamar Stewart's got to get on the field.
Yeah, that part interests me a lot. I mean, he did some good things in Cleveland in that opener. He was noticeable. I think there was a lot of stuff made that basically, if you statistically measured him out analytically, he was pretty close to Myles Garrett and what Myles Garrett did from a statistical standpoint, from a pass rush win rate, PFF grade, all those things. Yeah, I'm interested in him. Do I think he's a difference maker? No, because he's a rookie. He's not there yet. No. But I wouldn't mind having his juice back. I really wouldn't. I mean, God love Miles Murphy. He had a sack today, but it's not enough. It's not consistent enough from those guys.
And I talked about TJ Slayton. He was the one that led the Bengals in tackles today. He had 8 of them, as did Derek Knight. I'm sorry, Derek Knight.
Derek Knight might have been a point guard for somebody. Is that right?
Yeah, I think it was. Sorry, Demetrius late on a Sunday night. Demetrius Knight Jr. had 8 tackles. Logan had 8 tackles. But again, we pointed out.
But are they impactful? I don't even remember. It's funny. Like even TJ Slayton, I don't remember him doing it. It didn't feel like he did anything in that game. I know I got the stats. I just doesn't feel like, other than Trey today and a couple of open field tackles by Dax Hill, who was pretty noticeable on a couple of plays, I don't notice anybody on that. I just don't notice them. They're unnoticeable, and that's a shame.
That is Richard Skinner of Local 12 and Local12.com. This episode is brought to you by Prize Picks. You and I make decisions every day, but on Prize Picks, being right can get you paid. Don't miss out of any of the excitement this football season on Prize Picks, where it's good to be right. New now here in October, Prize Picks is the only app that offers stacks, meaning you can pick the same player up to 3 times, not once, not twice, but 3 times in the same lineup. Want to pick more on Josh Allen's passing yards, rushing yards, and touchdowns? Well, now you can pick all of them in the same lineup only on Prize Picks. Also new this month, follow other Prize Picks players directly on the app and copy their lineups in one simple click, whether it's a friend, a celebrity partner, or just someone whose picks you like. Hit the follow button and check out every lineup they create in the new feed tab on Prize Picks. Download the Prize Picks app today and use the code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks, it's good to be right. Back to wrap up this edition of the Jungle Roar Bengals postgame pod with Richard Skinner of Local 12 and Local12.com. All right, the Green Bay Packers are next, up in Green Bay. And this is a Green Bay team that allowed 40 points in a tie to Dallas last Sunday night. They're off this week. And then the week before that, they lost in Cleveland to the 1-4 Browns. I think there's some hope going into this game because I don't think Jake Browning can play as poorly as he did on Sunday against one of the best teams in the NFL.
Yeah, I don't think they go up there and win, Mike. What I want to see is just this. Just play better on a consistent basis. Just be better consistently. If you do that, I mean this sincerely. I don't think they go up in their way. If they do, it's a steal. But if not, 2-4 is going to sound awful. It is awful. But you do have 3 straight home games after that. I don't think Pittsburgh's a world beater. I know what their record is, but they've eked out some wins, and they have some issues on defense. And then you have a couple of winnable games with the Bears and the Jets. You still have a really good chance, even if you lose this game at Green Bay, to go 5-4 at the bye. And if you started the season and you started doing what we all do, circle the
Yeah.
wins, circle the losses,
Yep.
I think I had them 6-3, and 5-4 would be okay, and a chance to assess where you're at the bye and take a deep breath, have some momentum coming out of the bye. Go to play Pittsburgh on the road again. I don't think Pittsburgh's great right now. They're the leader in the division, and give them credit for all that. They're the leader. I don't think they're all that great. You got them. Then you got New England at home. You have a chance over that stretch to kind of catch back up. And just don't go up there and embarrass yourself. Just don't go up. I mean, like today, honestly, Mike, it was trending towards demoralizing. Like, you
Yes.
ain't digging out of this, man. You ain't digging out of 42-3, which was where it was trending. You ain't digging out of 42-3 based on these last 3 games. This is headed for total and utter disaster. Still not hitting in a good direction, but the fourth quarter gave you a little bit of hope. And again, I don't expect them to go to Green Bay and win. Just play well enough to go, okay, you're trending in the right direction. Get back home. Short week. Pittsburgh has to come to your place on a short week. Those are usually good options for the home team. And then take those last 2 games, which are extraordinarily winnable at home, win them. And you know what? You get to 5-4 to bye. You go, we're not in an awful spot.
That sounds great on paper,
I
right?
know
And that
that.
sounds great with you and me talking about it on the Bengals Jungle Roar post-game pod. That sounds awesome, Skinny. But the problem is when you watch the product on the field,
I know it.
it doesn't compute. You cannot reach the conclusion that this team is capable of playing to that level. When the Bengals trailed 28-3 in late in the third quarter of this game against the Lions, do you know what they were outscored in their previous 11 quarters by?
I believe I tweeted this out, so give me a second. 104-16, I believe.
19. When they were
19, okay.
Yes, that is unbelievable. It is just truly, and it is just ridiculous. It's a
It's
stat that,
ridiculous.
yeah. What did you say? 104-16.
16. I thought it was
You're
10.
right.
Yeah, it
I
went 10
was
straight through.
wrong. My
No,
math
you're
is
good. No,
bad.
you're good. You're okay. You're okay. I only went to a public high school at Dixie Heights. I know you went to the great Indian Hill High School, Mike. So,
I did, and
what a,
and
you
Pat
know,
Connolly is not smiling right now. But her grandson covers the Bengals sometimes with Kelsey Conway, so that's
right.
a little inside baseball
Yeah.
there for you. But I just want to see if there's something Bengal fans can hang their hat on going into Green Bay, thinking, all right, they may not win, but at least it'll be competitive. Right now, I think, yes, the last 15 minutes of that game here against the Lions offers some type of window dressing that might be possible. But I'd like to think the way the Bengals played defense again for a majority of the game against one of the best offenses in the NFL, that to me is what I kind of would hang my hat on a little bit more.
I mean, Mike, they've given up 27 points in each of the last 4 games, at least 27 points. And if Liam Coleman isn't an idiot and kicks a field goal, they would have given up at least 28 points in each of the last 4 games, and 30 plus points. And I mean, this is last year's defense in a nutshell. I mean, this is literally last year's defense. It's the same guys basically, and so that's what you're seeing. But I do think that fourth quarter gave you enough to say, okay, just go to Green Bay and show me that there's some level of consistency for hope. Again, could it be a 27-24 loss, a 30-27 loss? Those kind of losses, you go, okay, it's Green Bay on the road, played them toe to toe. I'm good with that, especially with what I got coming up, 3 home games in a row before the bye. But you go up there and lay another egg. If it's another 28-3 at some point, you have to just at that point, in my opinion, you just have to almost toss in the towel. Like this is what this team
Well, how do
is.
you go about doing that? I mean,
Right.
if you're not going to trade for somebody, you throw in a quarterback other than Jake
Right.
Browning. What does throwing in the towel even look like at this point?
Yeah, I'm just talking about it. I'm talking about as fans. You're not going to throw in the towels as a team. You're going to keep fighting because you still have, again, those 3 home games before the bye to me are essential wins. Like there's no ifs, ands, or buts. Win those 3 games and give yourself some hope. Lose any of those games at 2-4. Okay, now we got to reassess at the trade deadline. What are we going to do to
Right.
look to the future? Because that's the look to the future moment, in my opinion.
Okay, I would be remiss if I did not mention Jamar Chase and the night he had. 6 catches, 10 targets, 110 yards, 2 touchdowns. Dan Horde asked Jamar if he could ever recall making a toe tap the way Jamar did
It's
at
crazy.
on that first touchdown. I mean, Jamar Chase is an athletic dude. We
It's
all know
ridiculous.
that. He's made great catches before, countless great catches. That catch, the timing of controlling the ball with his back foot just about to leave the ground, just in and keep that back foot down on the ground while the other foot, the left foot, is still on the turf, and keep 2 feet in, was just a thing of beauty.
And I will say this. So when the ball was thrown, I'm like, okay, Jake, you just threw your fourth pick because it was into traffic. But
Right,
it was a great ball in retrospect, right? I mean, you couldn't have put the ball any better than the
right.
guy that was going to catch it. But in real time, I'm like, gosh, that was a great effort. It's not going to count. And then I see the touchdown thing. I'm like, there's no way that's going to count. There's no way he got that back foot in. Not a chance. And then the replay, like, wow. I mean, that you're right. That it was incredible.
It really was. And God bless Jeff Hobson of Bengals.com asking, trying to give, as Jake Browning put it, a layup after the game, when he's fielding all of these questions
Yep.
about and admitting without being asked the question how miserable he was and how miserable a night he had for the Bengals. Jeff Hobson asked him, "What about that great pass to Jamar Chase?" And Jake, God bless him. He said, "Yeah, it was one good pass, but I made too many other bad ones for it to really matter."
And I will say this is the hard part of covering sports. You come to hate guys that you cover and like guys that you cover,
Oh,
and it's hard not to like Jake Browning. I think he's a really smart kid. I think he gives good answers. I think he's really thoughtful, and it sucks to watch this poor kid go through what he's going through. Some of it's self-inflicted, obviously, so that's on him as a performer and an athlete, and that's part of being on the stage. But man, it's hard not to like that kid. I
the
admit
other,
that.
yeah, and the other thing in the locker room that I will give Jamar Chase full uh, marks for is saying, "Look, I wanted to go into the stands and celebrate,
Yep.
but it's my job as captain to kind of keep it cool, dap everybody up," as he said after the game, congratulate everybody, and move on to executing the next drive. To me, that shows incredible maturity. That, yeah, I can't go around acting like we're up, 3 scores instead of being what we are, still down 3 scores. I mean, I saw Jordan Battle celebrate a tackle late in the game, and I
It's like,
understand it's
no,
an emotional.
it is. I saw the same thing, Mike. I'm like, come on, dude. What do you go make a
I,
play somewhere else when it matters?
you're down 3 scores,
Yeah.
Jordan.
Yep.
They've been lighting you up on the scoreboard. Don't do that.
Yeah.
And Jamar Chase, who's not much older than Jordan Battle,
Same
but he's
age,
also
probably.
a captain, also understands the optics there, not only to the fans but to his teammates. Like, look, it was good. We finally got a touchdown, but we've got a lot more work to do. And I just felt like when Jamar Chase said that after the game tonight, it was a great way to show his leadership.
I think the last 2 weeks he's done that because I think we all expected last week on the road when he turned around when uh, the Bengals media folks said Jamar's ready to talk. Like, okay, here he goes. He's going to unload, and this is going to be ugly. This is going to be where all the juicy stuff we're all looking for. And I thought his level of maturity last week was great. And to your point, I thought tonight was great. I mean, he stood in his locker, surrounded, answered questions. I didn't think all the answers were great. They never
No,
are. But
that's
at the
fine.
same time, I mean, to that point of the answer that he gave, because I remember sitting there going, yeah, good for you, man. I mean, yeah, you understand what this is all about. This isn't about you grittying after being down 3 touchdowns. Just take the touchdown and be happy for it. Let's go.
What are you working on, Skinny, for local12.com?
Yeah, the fact the fact of the that Zach took ownership, I think, is great. But I do think there's just a myriad of issues besides Zach, which I think is why this team is so bad. But then I'm going to probably wrap the column up with the fourth quarter does give you something to hang your hat on. Again, I get it. Start yelling at me, fans, and oh, it's window dressing in a bad, awful game, and nobody cares what you do in garbage time. Sure, I'm not thinking you're wrong, but what else do you have to hang your hat on to right at the moment? If you don't hang your hat on that, then just
Right.
toss in the towel and call it a day. That's the only thing I
And
can
they're
give you.
pros. They don't do that.
Correct. That's correct. And I think to them, even, it's like, okay, we understand now how to score touchdowns again. Let's do this earlier in games. And to Zach's point, got to figure out a way to do this earlier in games. All right. I think that's all great. I like accountability. Now just go do it.
All right. He is Richard Skinner. Follow all of his great stuff on Local 12 and local12.com. My name is Mike Petraglia Trags. You can follow me, of course, on the X at Trags, Trags. Be sure to follow my online content at CLNS Cincy with a Y.com. And you know where to find all of that great Bengals post-game reaction, including this very podcast, youtube.com/@JungleRoarPod. For Richard Skinner, my name is Mike Petraglia. I want to thank our great sponsors, Prize Picks and All Good Home Improvements. Until next week from Green Bay, keep that jungle roaring.